I've made over the years in Bitcoin and accelerate your journey to understanding it. One of the most common arguments I hear about Bitcoin is people say like, oh, I just don't understand it, Dinny. Or, everything you say makes sense, but I don't understand it. And how I'll explain that to people is I'll just show you rather than tell you. Okay? Every single day, and you might be one of these people get in these yokes, okay? And no one knows how they work. Like, people don't know how a combustion engine works. They can't explain to you the 4 cycles in a 4-stroke engine. I can, okay, but majority of people who drive these cars, look at them, loads of them, vast majority of people have no idea how they work. You have to get in them and they drive them. And they don't know how a combustion engine works. They don't know how an electric motor works. And they don't care, because they know that getting in the car, turning the key and it taking to them wherever they want to go is better than walking. Now we know, as Bitcoiners, that for 15 years, okay, you didn't have to know how Bitcoin worked. All you had to do was use it. And every human on the planet who's used Bitcoin for 4 years or more is in a financially much better off position. And that's it. So you don't need to know how it works. So what I say to people is, it's a nonsense argument. You can't say that anymore, because there's loads of things in your life that you use all the time and you've no idea how they work. So saying, I don't use Bitcoin because I don't understand how it works, it just doesn't cut it. You're giving a disservice to yourself. You're not being honest. There's another reason, and if you tell me what that reason is, I can answer it in my next video. So if you have a reason, send this to people who don't understand Bitcoin, who maybe they've gave you that reason, and say, come on, tell the truth. We want the truth, and then we can address it and we can help you understand whatever you don't understand. My second point, Bitcoin is as much for the small entity as it is for the large entity. So Bitcoin has been a bottoms-up movement, and that's the real reason why people who don't understand how it works is because there was a psyop against people to convince them that Bitcoin is bad and you can't trust Bitcoin. And who taught the people that? The banks! The fucking institutions that the thing is going to replace. Okay? And in any other instance, you'd scratch your head and go, okay, right. Maybe there's a contradiction in this information. Maybe it might be slightly negatively biased that the exact institutions that this thing is going to disintermediate and demonetize are telling me Bitcoin bad. But anyway, that's a different story. But Bitcoin's a bottom-up movement, so it began at the individual level. And now we're reaching institutional level. We're reaching public companies. And look at it, we're now reaching countries. And I want to give you this example. I'm going to give you 2 stories. One is an individual level, one is a country level. So you can see how powerful Bitcoin is and how it works. The first story, okay, is a message that I got last week. I've actually got loads of them over the last couple of weeks since Bitcoin has gone into this roaring bull market. But I got a message from an individual who I consulted with. Someone who comes from a very modest financially positioned family, a hard worker, okay? And he just sent me a message to say, Dinny, we met in 2021. I implemented everything you said. It's been working like clockwork, and now I see it. This is amazing. My family are now going to have a different life. My kids will have a different life than I had and than my parents had, because I now have the knowledge, and this is working for me. And I'm not going to tell you how much their portfolio is worth or anything like that, but it's life-changing money for this family. And not only in today's terms, but in the hope for the future. Because everything's hopeful. Without hope, life is pointless. Okay, and a lot of people are in that situation. So when this guy can see how much his portfolio is worth today, and with all the knowledge he knows where we're going. So he knows his family's financial future is secured. He can buy his kids houses in the future, even though most people won't be able to, and their kids are going to live with them all their life, because they simply won't be able to afford to get on the property market. So that's Bitcoin working for the individual, the entity, the one person. Okay? And then we have all the Bitcoin deniers who've just lost out on it, and now they're running to try and buy Bitcoin at the all-time high. The second is that because Bitcoin works for everyone, it works for the tiny individual, it works for the company, MicroStrategy, highest performing company on the stock market. What did they do? In 2020, Michael Saylor embraced Bitcoin. He'd done the strategy that I've been doing for years, teaching Irish companies how to do this. Okay? And it's just you leverage your balance sheet into Bitcoin and you outperform all the other companies on the planet who aren't doing this. And it almost doubles the turnover of any business that does it. And I've helped, I think the largest business I helped was a business that's worth 330 million this year to implement that strategy. But I've also helped one-man bands, a painter and decorator doing this strategy, turning over 60 grand a year, 80 grand a year. But now his balance sheet is turning over that as well. So he's just doubled it without having to go paint more houses. The last example is the country level, because it works for every entity. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, it works the same for everyone. We have El Salvador. We have Germany, the third largest economy on the planet. Okay, they assumed they were bigger than Bitcoin. They knew better. They're the European Central Bank. Like, the whole of Europe is basically big Germany. Okay, because we just fall in line with whatever nonsense they come up with. But they were like, no, we don't need this Bitcoin thing. What did they do? They sold their Bitcoin just before the bull market. And then the price is absolutely ripped. And that's a multi-billion euro mistake. And it's only going to get worse. It'll be worth tens of billions soon and hundreds of billions in the future. But then we have a tiny entity like El Salvador. No one ever heard of it. What did they do? They embraced Bitcoin. They made it legal tender. They started educational programs in their country to teach people about Bitcoin and teach people about money. They created Bitcoin bonds. They started using volcanoes to mine Bitcoin. So they embraced Bitcoin. Now what's happened to El Salvador is it's became a place where tourism is increasing and crime is decreasing. It was one of the most dangerous places on the planet, and now it's one of the safest. In 2022 or 3, when every other country in the world's GDP went down, theirs went up. They've been buying 1 Bitcoin a day. Okay? And they're going to do that until they get rid of their national debt. And they're now realizing that they don't have to take more loans from the IMF. These are predatory loans where they give away all their natural resources. And it's all hidden with smoke and mirrors. And people think, oh, these organizations are great to help the poor countries. No, they don't. They impoverish the poor countries through sly means that most people don't get, because most people only look at surface area. They don't go levels deep. Okay? So we've seen that Bitcoin helps people on the individual level, on the corporate level, and on the country level. It just works the same for everybody. And it's not going to change. So whether you understand Bitcoin or you know how it works or not, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin will work for you. Guys, I hope you have a super day. Thanks for being here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, become part of the community, and have a super day. Dinny out.